All right, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Wiggs. I am the president of the DeKalb Fraternal Order Police. For those that are not familiar, the FOP is the largest law enforcement organization in the United States with over 325,000 members. We are here today to request that you amend the budget recommendation to exclude public safety from any unpaid holidays. We commend the board for excluding the furlough days for public safety employees and, of course, for the remaining employees as well, as we all know and agree that it will definitely affect public safety if you do any furlough days. First, we would like to set the record straight that the unpaid holidays, quote unquote, that are being proposed are nothing more than a way of sugarcoating a pay reduction. I think through everything that we've seen and heard, I think everybody's having a more understanding of it, especially after they've taken the pay cut in their paycheck. Some of the commissioners say, oh, you know, y'all work holidays, you'll get the holiday later. Bottom line is, at the end of the year, our salary is reduced. That plain, it's that simple. Public safety employees do work holidays, as we are the backbone for the success of this county. Without public safety, this county has nothing. We must work 24/7 and are available every second of the day, regardless of the conditions. We do not have the luxury of putting our radios or the 911 center on voicemail. We can't put a sign on the door, out to lunch. Can't take a snow day or even stop working in order to come to protest for our right to get paid. If we were able to take a 3-hour break from our jobs, I have no doubt that this auditorium would be full of police officers. But we are professionals that know that taking a 3-hour break would put this county into complete chaos. Which brings me back to the reason that it is unacceptable to even consider taking a dime from these officers. We are aware of the economic times, as we have bills and families just like everyone else. We have not seen any raises in years, which are like a reduction in pay when the cost for the essentials do go up. These officers are given 150% in order to keep things moving forward and have been able to bring the crime rate down. We have been doing our part to do more with less, which I spoke before on. We have officers that are responding to serious life-threatening calls with no backup. I had another officer that came up here, basically told you the death rate. Didn't even talk to that lieutenant beforehand. He came up on his own. Plays right into what I'm trying to tell everybody. Their minds must be focused on their jobs and not worrying about how they are going to be able to make up money in the proposed pay reduction. Not everyone can work extra jobs due to family obligations, availability, etc., nor should they be forced to. Their lives depend on being rested, alert, and focused. We don't have a job where we can wait for somebody to get the jump on us. As y'all all know, our business is very serious. We can't take that chance. The last thing I want to see is one of my officers, I'm going to call them my officers because I'm representing them. The last thing I want is one of them to get in a shootout and lose the battle and find out that he's working extra jobs, cutting yards, trying to make ends meet over paid holidays. It's just not acceptable. We are glad to see the early retirement, but are very concerned that little planning was done in replacing the officers that will take early retirement. We have not heard of any recommendations or plans as to how we will replace the officers that do retire. We understand that the number is still unknown, but regardless of the number, are we really prepared to replace them when they leave? Police officers are trained professionals, and from the day we accept an application till the day the officer is assigned to a shift on his own is almost a year. If we have officers that retire in May, we don't know the number. But if we have 50 officers that leave, are we going to be able to replace those 50 officers right now? Bottom line is we can't. They've got to be trained. We can't go out here, especially when you're taking holidays, and recruit. No one's going to come to this county and work as a police officer, do the short academy if they're already post-certified, when you're taking money away from us. They're not going to do it. This gap from when the officers that retire this year to the time we can replace them will realistically be over years, as we are unable to train that many officers in a short time. There again, our academy, there's just no way they could put out that many officers. To think they can is not realistic. This leaves the remaining working officers that pay taxes in DeKalb forced to, probably before this is all over with, pay more taxes. We know it's probably coming. Right now, it's not on the table. I know y'all are trying your best to do it without it, but realistically, there's probably going to be a little tax increase. If that happens, officers that live in DeKalb, which we want to live in DeKalb, we actually have a officer next door program adopted this year to try to bring officers back to this county. Now you're going to penalize them. You're going to say, come back to the county where you work. Oh, and by the way, now we're going to tax you a little more. We're going to take some of your pay. And now we're going to expect you to do 200% because we had all these people retire, and it's going to take us a year or two to get back up to where we're even on the minimal level that we're at now. This has disaster written all over it. We believe that any prudent person would agree that this is unacceptable to treat your public safety employees this way. Most of you, if not all, have stated in your public meetings and public safety is priority. Correct me if I'm wrong. We ask that you back up your words spoken to the public. If public safety is priority, we need to make sure these officers are taken care of. Kind of a moot point, but obviously it's not a moot point because hopefully y'all will consider this as you're making your changes and recommendations. So we respectfully ask that someone here, I was going to say today, but obviously with things have kind of shuffled a little bit from when I wrote this at 3 o'clock in the morning, do the right thing and amend this proposal to remove public safety employees from any reduction in pay. The only way to retain and recruit more quality officers is to keep the pay high, good benefits in retirement. Pay reduction is not a benefit. There again, we can't recruit officers while we're treating our public safety employees like we're treating them. We're just not going to get them. If we do get them, we're going to end up with, as most of you know, if you've seen the news, we went through that phase where we were on the news a lot because we had officers getting in trouble. But if you go back and check their records, it all started at backgrounds. It started from the start. We lowered our standards to get a warm body and a uniform, and we paid for it. We're still paying for it. Lawsuits cost money. Y'all know that. You've got to consider this. This vote, as you know, could be devastating effect to public safety all the way across the board. We have a lot of officers that are barely making ends meet, and any more reduction in pay would require them to seek employment elsewhere. I know the attitude is they won't leave. The job market's horrible. Where are they going to go? But there are jobs still out there. There's not a lot, but they are still out there. Gwinnett County's hiring right now. We're going to lose some officers to Gwinnett County if this goes through. I'm telling you now, I've had them tell me, I can't take any more. If they cut any more money out of my pay, I'm going to have to leave. I don't have a choice. That's sad. When we have veteran officers that have been here 10 and 12 years that are training the younger officers. We have lost a lot of quality officers with the last administration. We simply cannot afford to lose any more. But with this proposal of losing money for these officers, we're sure to lose them. Thank you.